Good day, students. This is Scholars Universal School online class, and it's a biology class. This will be our last class on sense organ. Our previous classes have covered organs like tongue, skin, nose, and eyes. So this third part will cover hair. So we want to talk about hair as a sense organ. Now, the hair, it is a major organ that is responsible for two main things: hearing and balancing. Like the eyes that we previously talked about, it's just mainly on sight. Now, the ear is an organ of hearing and balancing. So it helps the body to hear and also to balance the body in general. So let's see how the ear is able to do that hearing and balancing. In mammalian ear, there are three main sections. You have the outer ear. The outer ear is composed of the pinna. This is the pinna. It is the fleshy part of the ear that is exposed outside. The size will vary in individual. Then the ear canal. This is the ear canal. And the eardrum. This is the eardrum. So the eardrum is the one, sometimes some textbook refer to it as part of the middle ear, but it is the one that differentiates the outer ear from the middle ear. Now, the middle ear is just filled with ossicles, the ear bones. These ossicles, they are the smallest bone in the whole body. So if you have a question and they ask you that which bone is the smallest bone in the whole body, it is the ossicles. They are the bones in the ear. They are very small. Then the inner ear is composed of the semicircular canal and the cochlea. This is the semicircular canal, and this is the cochlea. The semicircular canal has to do with balancing of the body, and the cochlea has to do with hearing of the individual. So let's take the layer one after the other. The outer layer is made up of a flap-like pinna which leads into the ear canal. So what the pinna does is that it collects sound waves and direct them along the ear canal. Sometimes you see that when you are trying to hear, you use your hand to cover the pinna just to help the pinna collect more sounds. But without you putting your hands, what the pinna does on its own is that it collects sound waves and direct them along the ear canal. The ear canal can also call the auditory meatus, the external auditory. So it's just like the passage that stretches to a stretch of skin at the external end that is called the eardrum. The eardrum is also called tympanium membrane. So the eardrum connects the auditory meatus or the ear canal to the pinna. So the ear canal is lined by fine hair as well as oil secreted by special glands. So what those hairs does is that they help to sieve out dust particles that might want to enter into the air. Then the oil also traps some germs and some dust particles that might have been collected by the pinna. So the tympanic membrane, which is also called the eardrum, it separates the outer ear from the inner ear, and it's like a thin membrane which vibrates when sounds wave strikes on it. So as the pinna collect the sound waves and pass it through the ear canal, it reaches the eardrum and it vibrates. Okay, so the middle ear. Now, the middle ear is a small chamber that is buried in the skull, and it contains tiny bones that is called ossicles. I said the ossicles, they are the smallest bone in the ear. So the ossicles, they articulate with one another. There are three types of bone that are called the ossicles. One is the malleus or the hammer, and it is attached to the eardrum. The second one, the one in the middle, is the incus. It is also called the ambi. That's the one in the middle. So what it does is that it connects to the malleus by a type of joint that is called the hinge joint. And the next one, it connects to the ossicles, it connects to the stapes. The stapes is the next ossicle by another type of joint that is called the ball and socket joint. So if they ask you that what kind of joint connects the malleus to the incus, it is called the hinge joint. Then the one that connects the ambius, the incus to the stapes is called the ball and socket joints. Those are types of joints which we've done in our previous presentations. Now, the stapes now fit into the inner ear at a membrane called the oval window. So this is the diagram of the ossicle. And this is the malleus. From here to here is the malleus. This is the malleus. So the type of joints that connect the malleus to the incus, this is the incus. I said it is what? Hinge joint. A type of hinge joint. Then the incus is connected to the stapes by a ball and socket joints, which will allow rotation at every point. So this is the three types of bone. As you're looking at it, they are the smallest bones in the body. So these are the bones that are composed, that are found in the middle here. So this connects to the eardrum, and this connects to the oval window, to the inner ear. Now, the middle ear is also filled and is connected with what we call the nasopharynx. It connects the nasopharynx with what we call the interstitial tube. That tube allows the mouth, it allows air from the mouth to enter and leave the middle ear. So it's like it equalizes pressure on both sides of the eardrum. So it's like a connection. Sometimes when you take eardrop, you'll be feeling it in your mouth. You'll be feeling the taste, the bitter taste, because there's a connection between the mouth and the air. So what it does is that it equalizes pressure on both sides of the eardrum. So that tube is also a path through which infection may travel from the throat to the nose and to the middle ear. So sometimes when you see that you have nose infection, you'll be feeling it on your throat. You can have itches on your throat. So it connect the nose to the eyes, to the mouth rather, and infections can also pass through it. So the inner ear, it consists of a system of bony canals that is filled with fluid. The fluid, they are called the perilymph. Within this system of canal is another system of membranous channels that is filled with endolymph. So majorly, the inner ear is filled with perilymph and endolymph. And both systems, they are called bony and membranous labyrinth. So the one that is filled with perilymph, they are called the bony labyrinth, and the one that is filled with the endolymph, they are called membranous labyrinth. So those two systems, they contain two main sensory structures, the semicircular canal and the cochlea. The semicircular canal with other structures like the utricle and the cervical, they help with balancing. They help the body to balance. And the cochlea helps the body to hear. So it's the major organ of hearing. Those two organs, they are located in the inner ear. Look at the bone, the ossicles. The ossicles are here. They are connected to the inner ear. This is the semicircular canal. This is the oval window. And this is the cochlea. The semicircular canal has to do with balancing, and the cochlea has to do with hearing. So, how do the body hears? The mechanism of hearing. When the pinna collects sound waves and pass it through the air passage towards the eardrum, what the eardrum is like a drum. It vibrates, and when it vibrates, the ossicles will move to and fro. You know that the eardrum is like a satellite that connects to the ossicles. So the two ossicles will move to and fro, and the pressure will be transmitted from the tympanic membrane it will be received by the oval window that the ossicles are connected to. So what the ossicles does is that they amplify, they increase the vibration nearly like 20 folds of the way it's coming. So the vibrations are received by the perilymph, and immediately they are transmitted to the oval window by the agitation of the fluid. So once the fluid receives the amplified vibration, they are transmitted to the oval window, and the vibration is further transferred to the endolymph. Now, within the middle canal of the cochlea, impulses travels to the brain for appropriate interpretation. By the time the endolymph, the endolymph is in the inner ear where the cochlea is. So the cochlea transfer those vibrations to impulses and send it to the brain for appropriate interpretation. So those nerves that carries message impulses, they are called auditory nerves, and this is the structure of the hair. Now this diagram can quickly help us to understand the way we hear. When this spinal collects sound waves, it will send it through this ear canal, which is like a passage. I have said this passage have air and oil. Those oil traps in dead cells layers and dirt that enters the air and form wax. Now, this ear canal leads to the eardrum. Look at the eardrum here. It's a thin membrane like a drum, like a satellite. So you have a thin membrane here that leads to, this is the eardrum, that leads to the ossicles, the three bones, the hammer, the amphi, and the stapes. Now, the three bones, they help to amplify the vibration. They multiply the vibration. And they send it to the inner ear. So once the cochlea, the endolymphs, and the perilymph receive the vibration, the cochlea will convert the vibration into electrical signals, to impulses. Those are the signs that the brain understands. So the nerves will carry the impulses through the auditory nerves. Look at the auditory nerves. It's connected. It's also one of the cranial nerves that evolved from the brain. So it will take it to the brain, and the brain will interpret the message, and you'll be able to say, okay, oh, it's a melody of song. Oh, it's noise. Okay, this is what you're telling me. So you'll be able to understand what it is being said. Now, let me say something here, that the wax in this ear canal, of course, sometimes needs to be cleaned, but they have their own function. They have antibacterial and antifungal function. So they prevent the air from infections. But when we have to clean it, maybe it's too much or it's itching us, we can use the proper apparatus or cleaning kits to clean it, not just any sharp object or anything to remove dirt from our hair. Now, let's talk about deafness. And what is deafness? When the ear cannot, receive any sound, you cannot hear what is going on. When ear is lost, when ear lost its sensitivity to sound, the ear is no more sensitive to sound. Then there are some things that can cause the ear not to be sensitive to sound, like when the wax block the ear canal. The pinna collects the sound waves through the ear canal. So when the ear canal is already blocked with wax, the ear will not be sensitive to sound, and that is deafness. Then when the tympanic membrane is damaged, sometimes when you put sharp objects or something into our ear, it can damage the tympanic membrane. The infections can also damage the tympanic membrane. So once it is damaged, it can lead to deafness. Then when the tube that connects the ear to the mouth, the Eustachian tube, is blocked, I said the tube equalizes pressure in the eardrum. So when it is blocked, then it can also lead to deafness. The middle and the inner ear, when they are infected too, it can also lead to deafness. Then when we expose ourselves to very loud noise, constant exposure to loud noise, like people that are working in places where there are factories, machines that are making noise, it can cause loudness, deafness over time. So how should we care for our hair? Removing the wax in the ear canal regularly when there is need for it. Maybe there are too much, we can use um kits. There are some ear wax removal kits that we can use, not just any sharp object or biro cover or any stick or broom or matches to remove ear wax from our ear. Then not inserting pointed object into the ear. You can see now that this diagram shows how we can remove ear wax. This material is specially made to curb out the earwax. But if it's not careful, it can tamper with the eardrum. Look at the tympanic membrane or the eardrum. It's a tiny membrane. So if this is touching this, just like you are banging drum too much, the membrane can tear off. And once it is damaged, it will definitely lead to deafness. Then when we have any complaint, we should do what? See the doctor. The doctor can help us remove the wax, can prescribe drug. Don't just put something in your ear, or you take one expired eardrop, or eardrops that you're not even specific about its action. So we should see the doctor. Now, so far, we talked about the ear and how the ear is able to perform its sense organ function. It's a major sense organ. And we said that the ear is a major organ of balancing and of hearing. I've explained the mechanism of hearing, and I want you to also explain how the body helps in balancing. Of course, I know that the semicircular canal is responsible for balancing, but I want you to read through your textbook and explain how the air help to balance the body. So I will also refer you to questions at the back of your comprehensive certificate, starting from page 485 to page 488. So I want to do relevant questions to this presentation. Of course, by now, this is the last presentation on sense organs. You should be able to answer all the questions. So I wish you well, and I want you to subscribe and like this channel. Thank you for listening.